Hello, everybody, watching this early morning, late night video. This is Tyler Ellison here, and I want to talk to you all about a very unique permission slip tool that I have used in my own reality experience to be able to alter my own consciousness without having to exogenously consume any type of substance. So when I was younger, I used to be all into mind-altering compounds because I was fascinated with being able to change my state of consciousness, and I was doing this for a variety of reasons. Most of the time, it wasn't to act on my passion because of the very dark past that I had growing up. It was mainly to be able to escape feelings and emotions. So I was attempting to run away from the way I was feeling using different substances, compounds, plants, just because I didn't know how to deal with them. I also didn't know how to deal with my high level of empathy and intuition, my sixth sense, so to say, which was being completely overstimulated. And no one was there to guide me with the abilities that I had when I was a kid. So I was very psychically, mentally, emotionally overwhelmed. Didn't know how to handle, process my own emotions. So I decided to attempt to numb them out or to transcend them, utilizing mind-altering compounds. And it was a very rough road that lasted until I was about age 20. Started maybe around age 14 to age 20. That was a primary theme I was exploring, and it was very destructive. I definitely freaked out a lot of people. I really scared, my parents, my family. Um, and yeah, that was a very real theme that I went through. And I definitely don't portray or project negativity into any of these substances, whether it be cannabis or magic mushrooms or LSD, any of these things. I view them all as tools. They are neutral tools that you can use in whatever way you want, right? You can use them to try to numb out and to escape your reality, or you can utilize them as tools to expand your own consciousness, to explore your own consciousness, to explore your spirit, and they can be very powerful healing tools. And I've used them in both ways. When I was young and I would take these things, it was very much to just numb out feelings and emotions, or to attempt to transcend them, to induce a high that would allow for me to feel better. So not really trying to numb out, but more so just saying, hey, maybe this will help me have an experience where I can no longer have to experience these negative themes in my life. So, so anyway, I've had very positive experiences too. I've had very powerful psychedelic experiences that have been highly positive, utilizing plants like ayahuasca, and so on, psilocybin mushrooms. All of these things have, and DMT, smoked DMT. All of these things have helped me heal in crazy ways. So I definitely don't demonize any mind-altering substance. They are all neutral tools, and they all have their applications in whatever way we decide to use them. But with that intro out of the way, I'll just give a status update. Right now, I am in a point of view, in a point in my development where if I smoke cannabis, my ability to channel goes away. I'm unable to navigate the spiritual realm at all. It totally impairs me. I cannot hold a conversation, um, and it's not supportive of my own growth anymore. Um, and that's just the way it is. That's what I've come to realize is the status quo about my reality. I've attempted everything I could to have cannabis work for me. Believe me, I've tried it all, and no matter what I do, the plant always ends up becoming a limitation in my own experience, no matter how much I change my belief system about it. And I believe this is because I have a theme where I am supposed to navigate without using this plant. I believe it's probably because I've learned its lessons through the means of smoking it, right? And this is what I want to get into now: how to alter your consciousness without having to actually consume the substance. Because Bashar talks about this. If you watch any of Bashar's videos, people ask him about smoking DMT. People ask him about smoking cannabis. And what he says is, once you have graduated the class, right, once you've taken the class a couple times, you pass it, right? You pass the class, you complete the lesson. And then the teacher's saying to move on. And then Bashar goes on to say you can form a telepathic link with the substance just through the memory of how you felt while you were under the influence of it or were working with it, however you want to phrase that. And that will induce the state of being again. And I experimented with that for a long time, just remembering what it was like to be, high, or remembering what it was like to be in the spirit realm with mushrooms, right? I could just induce that, and it would be rather mild, rather subtle. But what I found was, as I developed my practice in Dao Yin, or Qigong, as it's been called, what I found is that I learned how to amplify. One second, I'm just going to turn my speaker off because it's a very annoying speaker. There we go. Sorry about that. So what I found is through these different techniques, the Dao Yin, the Qigong practices, and these practices are all about energy circulation. It is about taking essentially a ball of energy that you make in your core, right? So not up here, but down here, you make it in your belly, you charge it up with energy, and then you can spiral this energy ball around your whole body. You open up the meridians, you can charge the chakras up with it. It's a very powerful esoteric system and series of techniques. So I started using that protocol just to be able to open my psychic skills up, to increase my mental emotional well-being, and just because I love playing around with energy and energy medicine. I do energy healings, and I felt these Dao Yin practices, these Qigong practices would help me to do so. And what I found was this, this energy ball that you make in the center of your abdomen, you charge it up with positive emotion. That's really what the main practice is. And the idea is you inner smile into the different parts of your body. So you close your eyes, you're smiling, you're creating feelings of love, you're charging up the energy centers of the body, and then you bring all of that energy into your center. And then you can do like a breath of fire, like a, or, bellows breath. And these different techniques, right? To be able to then charge up the core with all that positive emotion you've generated throughout your body. Once it's, all generated and it's in the core, you can then circulate it throughout what's called the microcosmic orbit. And you can look this up. And what it is it's a energetic channel meditation where you have this ball, right, and you're bringing it up the spine, right, so it's coming up the spine, and you bring it down the front of your body, and you keep looping it like this. And what's happening is you're charging up all of the energetic pathways of your body with this energy pearl. And the idea is, right, because it's charged up with these positive emotions, that's then going to spiral throughout your body, and your whole system's going to get nourished with that effect. So you might be able to extrapolate on where I'm going with this. What I found is you can charge up the core of your body with these different altered states and the feelings, textures, smells, flavors, and memories of these mind-altering compounds. So what I will do is I'll actually, especially if I'm ever craving cannabis, which happens, right? Since I'm a student, I'm studying acupuncture in grad school, which, the more I'm actually diving into the channeling, the less cares I actually give to my grad school studies. I'm like, I should be going in this direction, like all the way. But for now, I'm going to complete the program. I got a year and a half left, almost done. But what I found is you can charge up the core of your lower abdomen, this energy pearl, with the feelings of cannabis, or with the feelings of tobacco, or with the feelings of magic mushrooms, or with the feelings of ayahuasca, or San Pedro, whatever the plant teacher is. You can induce the state of being through memory, but you can amplify it through these Dao Yin techniques. So what I like to do is I will actually imagine the smell of cannabis. I'll imagine the feeling of the cannabis smoke in the lungs, or when I eat edibles, right, which I don't do anymore, but when I eat edibles, or I'll imagine the way the cannabis feels in my hands. I'll imagine massive cannabis plants. I'll imagine the collective consciousness of all the cannabis plants communicating with each other where they're growing. And I'll also inner smile, right? I'll send unconditional love and joy and appreciation to this imagery I'm creating, to this sensory experience I'm creating in my lower abdomen. And then I charge it up with that powerful breath technique, whether it's bellows breath or breath of fire, whatever it is. I charge it all up, and then I go ahead and I circulate it throughout my system. And I'll do that for like a minute or two, couple minutes. And what's happening is I am taking the energy of cannabis and I'm sending it throughout my whole system. And what's happening is I am inducing a subtle psychic link with cannabis. So I don't feel like I just like took a huge hit of cannabis and I'm like unable to function or I'm levitating, but it puts me in the same state. And what do I mean by that? I mean I am in a state of being where I can receive intuitive messages from cannabis and I can think using similar thought processes that I would use while I would smoke cannabis. So it's inducing the same pathways, it's inducing similar feelings because I actually feel different. Even now, as I did the meditation right before this, I feel it. I feel more in the moment. I feel my thoughts are quieter. I feel like, actually, I literally feel like a little like fuzzy and like buzzing like in the head. And what I like about connecting with these plants in this subtle way is that I am still able to navigate my inner reality experience and my outer reality experience with normal cognition, but with this mild flavoring. And you can do the same thing with ayahuasca. You can do the same thing with LSD. You can do the same thing with San Pedro. Any plant you have consumed within your reality, you can abso-friggin-lutely induce this within your body. And I've realized you can induce anything in your system. I did a 3-day fast recently where I was meditating on the 5 flavors in Chinese medicine, which is what I'm going to school for. Acupuncture is part of Chinese medicine. We meditate upon, well, not we learn about the 5 flavors, how they're associated with the 5 elements, and how each of the 5 major organs is related to a specific flavor. So I actually meditated upon each flavor and I breathed in the various attributes to each organ and associate and in combination with the flavor. And then I was able to actually nourish myself off that energy for 3 days. I didn't need anything. I just had water, no hunger at all, tremendous energy. So we do have this real ability to access the energies of physical substances and their energetic, subtle energy components, and we can actually nourish ourselves with them and then shift our awareness into the state of being that we would actually be in if we were to consume them, but we're shifting into a version of that that's much lighter and it is much more subtle, but it is still tangible, it is still noticeable. So for people out there that are interested in this, I want you to know that these are real techniques. You can actually do them. And if you are working on, let's say you're like me, right? Where every now and then you crave tobacco, because honestly, I crave tobacco sometimes. I don't smoke cigarettes. I used to, when I was younger. And I just, they're not that good for you. So I really feel that it's not proper for me to do them. I don't feel good when I use them. Maybe initially you do because you get the buzz, but I really don't feel good when I use them. So, but every now and then I'll still crave them because I associate it with stress reduction. But what I find is that through these techniques, it completely alleviates cravings. You can also use it for food cravings too, if you find you have like food issues. But what I also really like about this is you're able to connect with the subtle energies of these compounds, whether it be the energies of the food through the flavors or the energies of these mind-altering compounds or plants. You're connecting with the subtle layers to them. So what happens is you receive levels of guidance from them. You receive levels of intuition that come from the plants when you consume them in this psychic meditative way that sometimes you don't get when you actually take them in, because when you take them in, it's inducing all of these metabolic processes in your body where your body has to take time to break it down. And, that takes energy. And when your system is using its energy to process these things, there's less energy sometimes for the more intuitive aspects of yourself to play with. So when you're subtly meditating on these things and you're accessing their state of being through going into resonance with that state of being, you can access the subtle layers and the lessons of these things. So I think sometimes when I'm craving certain foods, when I'm craving certain substances, it might not actually be because like there's some kind of theme I have to re-explore through consuming it physically. It might actually be the essence, and I believe it is the essence, the spirit of this compound, of this plant actually reaching out to me saying, I have something for you. So I might interpret that as a physicalized craving, but that actually might be an invitation for me to make a spiritual connection to these substances. And the same thing can be done for food. So for example, using this traditional Chinese perspective, let's say you're craving sweet. So sweet in the Tao, in East Asian philosophy, Taoism, is associated with the element of earth. So there may be messages that the element of earth, which is alive in your body because you're made of the earth, may be wanting to give to you. And you might be able to then receive that information psychically through meditating upon the flavor of sweet as well as the qualities of earth, which are neutral and bland. And the emotions of earth are trust. These are in the Tao, that's what they say. The emotion is trust. The flavor is sweet and bland. The quality is neutral. The color is yellow. So let's say, for example, you're craving sweets. You can visualize and create all of that, bring all of those energies, those qualities into you, and you'll actually be nourishing yourself with the energy of what we typically are craving when we want sweets. So, in other words, instead of having to eat the sweet food, right, to fulfill that need, you can meditate upon the qualities of earth and pull that energy into you, and you can actually then receive messages from the earth element. And the same is true for all of the other flavors that exist out there. So I am sharing this video as just an inspiration tool to help you understand just more about your own mystical skills, right? Because I know we're all unique, we all have our own gifts, but what I'm doing is something anyone can do, right? Especially these kinds of meditations, right? This is like a system of meditation. Again, it's called Dao Yin or Qigong, and I learned these techniques through a lineage called the Universal Healing Tao. But I have found Bashar's teachings of being able to alter your consciousness without having to consume substances can be interwoven with these techniques. And again, the one I use is called the microcosmic orbit. That's the one that I use to circulate that energy throughout the system. And then the inner smile is the supplementary one, the primary one you want to learn before you learn the microcosmic orbit. So if you're interested in applying this teaching, inner smile and microcosmic orbit are the two basic techniques I use, and it will totally amplify that idea of going into that altered state of being to interface psychically with these plant compounds. And again, it can also be used for food. So if you're fasting, right, there's some people out there right now fasting for Ramadan. Some people are fasting just to cleanse their bodies. Some people are fasting because they want to expand their consciousness. If you're fasting and you want to get the chi from the food without having to eat it, the energy from the food, you can do this kind of meditation, meditating upon the flavors, the qualities of the element, and the emotions of the element, and the colors of the element. And you can also do that with food. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's 1:17 a.m. over here in New Haven. I'm studying for my final exams right now. But I've learned to play. Yeah, I've learned to play. Like Bashar says, making homework home play. That's what I'm doing. And taking a great study break to just make a video to share with all of you. So everybody, I hope you like this. Much love to you, the community, everybody tuning in. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you're watching this on the Facebook page for Bashar Communications or Bashar fan page, whatever it is, Bashar fan page, I hope you all enjoy this. So much love to everybody. Enjoy this Sunday morning, Saturday evening, however you want to look at it.